Familia, el día de hoy vamos a estar rompiendo mitos y realidades. Today, family, we're going to be breaking rules, myths, and we're going to bring you to reality. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Dr. Ilan Shapiro, part of the amazing coalition against COVID. Right now, I want to introduce my co-host, and not only that, but the one that actually started all the movement is my amazing friend, Dr. Daniel Turner-Lloveras. Dr. Turner-Lloveras, give us the introduction.
Thank you very much, Ilan. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. This is Lo que Importa, and the idea behind it is really because Luz knows, Ilan knows, Salma knows that many people out there have a lot of questions, but not a lot of places to turn to get those questions answered. And so in this episode, hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your questions if you're ever wondering about clinical trials or how can we make sure that the vaccines are safe when we give them out. By the end of this episode, you should be able to answer some of those questions, and I'll bring Ilan back.
Amen for that. And part of the things that we're going to be doing is like small chunks of information. It doesn't supposed to be long. It doesn't supposed to be painful. It needs to be fun, attractive, and most importantly, be honest. And that's why we have Dr. Felix Marquez and also Salma. They have amazing things. We're going to divide this conversation in three parts. One is that who they are, why they are here, what they have done, and most importantly, what are they going to be seeing in 10 years from now? And that's an important question because the answer will actually project the feelings and relevance of what's happening right now. Then, Dr. Felix Marquez, if you want to start with you and tell us who you are, where you're coming from, and why are you here?
Sure. Hi, thank you guys for having me. So I'm a primary care physician specializing in family medicine. I am currently working in South Los Angeles with the Los Angeles County, and I see patients from zero to, we say in family medicine, from cradle to grave. And also one of the few Spanish-speaking providers in my facility. And so I get to speak to my comunidad en español y explicarles todo lo que es importante para la salud de nuestra comunidad. Entonces, cuando pidieron mi apoyo para participar en esto, les dije que claro que sí.
That's awesome. La verdad te agradezco. I am really grateful that you heard the alarm and you're here because, like at the moment that we are recording this, it's a random, I'm not going to say what day, but it's late and we have tried to do it and you said yes in a flash. Then thank you so much for being here. And we also have an amazing special guest that is Salma. Salma, tell us about you and why you're here today.
Hi, my name is Salma, and I was a part of the COVID-19 Pfizer trial.
How has that been so far? And sort of, if you could tell us a little bit about what got you interested or what you hope to get out of it.
Yeah, so first what got me interested in the trial was basically just to talk about COVID and kind of just like how it affected my community personally. And I heard like some things about like having a vaccine, but like I wasn't too sure about it until my healthcare provider, Kaiser, they actually like reached out to me and talked to me about wanting me to participate into the trial because I fit the requirements. So I kind of just called them back and they kind of explained more to me about what it was and what I was going to be a part of. And yeah.
I have to first say thank you for what you're doing. I don't think everybody knows, but you really are a superhero if you think about it, because there's a virus that the whole world is talking about that is affecting people, that is killing people. And the only weapon we have other than washing our hands and social distancing
And masks.
and masks and personal hygiene is the vaccine. I mean, in comparison to all those other things and behavioral changes and non-pharmacologic, the vaccine is saving more lives than anything else. And yes, those who created the vaccine are superheroes as well. But right now, the current superheroes are the ones that are making it safe, that are showing us that we can trust it and that we can believe in it and tell other people to get it. And that's what's going to get us the herd immunity, get us back to normal. So at first, I just want to say thank you for that, if people aren't saying that to you enough. Another question I want to ask, and then I'll pass it over to Dr. Shapiro, is has any of your friends or family members who aren't in the clinical trial, had they asked you any questions about your experience so far? And has it been easy to sort of explain what's going on?
Yeah, so I have a really big family, and pretty much like half of them, they're kind of for the vaccine, and they're kind of against, and other people they're kind of against it. So I kind of have to like be careful around like what I say to them, because I know like some people might have different opinions, and like how I explain things, they might like get offended or something. But I kind of just like explain to those people that are not really educated about the trial, and just try to explain to them about like how I just wanted to help other people and not really care about myself, and but like help the other people who couldn't really protect themselves about the vaccine.
Thank you.
And just to contextualize a little bit, so when Salma was asked to participate in the clinical trials, this was before there was an emergency use authorization for adults. So she actually was pioneering the vaccine before any of the healthcare workers, which were one of the first people to get the vaccine, actually did. And so when I heard that Salma was going to get the vaccine, I was, I think personally for me, was really scary, right? Because here's this new vaccine. I had my own apprehensions. I wanted to look at the data. And I also wanted to understand more about what it meant and what were some of the side effects and some of the risks. And I think those were the biggest concerns and worries. And I think at first, my first reaction was, I'm scared, right? Here's this young individual that's like lining up to, test something out for the rest of the world. But after speaking with Salma, it was very clear that for her, that she really wanted to contribute in a very meaningful way to her community, and so seeing her be that brave, really, when it came time for me to get my vaccine, I kind of said, well, she's already pioneered it. There's no way I'm gonna say no. She went first, and so I kind of built on her courage to want to take mine when we were offered it, because when we were offered the vaccine as healthcare workers, it was late December, early January, and so we didn't have months and months and months of data behind the vaccines like we do now. And so looking back on that time frame, I think that one of the, I'm a mom, I have little kids, I was really scared. And when I saw that Salma did it, I couldn't say, I'm gonna wait. And she kind of gave me the courage to say, okay, I'm gonna get it too.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually thank you so much for saying that, because it gives you the context completely of where we are in the world. That even though that we do know a lot of things, but sometimes we need to just do the leap and do the things. But I'm very grateful, and I'm actually getting the chills and everything for Salma and you, Dr. Felix Marquez, that you were kind of the first round of healthcare providers, and also Salma, the first young people that actually went and stepped up and said, well, we need this, we need to figure out something, and we understand that things can change, but we have the full-blown disease coming to our heads in our community, or we can fight about this. And this actually leads to the next question. And I want to start with you, Dr. Felix Marquez. Right now, today is 2032. We have already had 10 years of a lot of information. Things have changed. We have conquered COVID-19. What do you remember about 2021?
So that's a really great question, sort of to reflect on how I'm going to be feeling in the future. I think one of the things I think about straddling both pediatrics and family and adult medicine, I think that it'll be something that's so routine, like the MMR vaccine, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, or the flu vaccine, or the tetanus vaccine, that we're not going to have a huge debate on people actually needing to get the vaccine. So in 10 years from now, I see it as one of those routine vaccines that we're giving to every child. So that's what I see 10 years from now. Are we still going to live with people that have fears and hesitancy and maybe don't want to get vaccines and the anti-vaccine movement? I think we still will have some of that, but I think that COVID will kind of fall into the background, and the vaccine will just be part of a series that we give, and maybe it'll be a combo like we have with certain vaccines like Pentacell, where you're giving, instead of 3 shots, separate shots, you're giving one vaccine that has 3 different vaccine components. So that's what I see in the future. And I think from the perspective of a teacher, I think, I'm going to be having this conversation with students that are learning the craft of medicine, and kind of explaining them to contextualizing what it really felt like to live through this moment in history. And I think, my kids will remember some of it, but because they're so little, they're not going to remember a lot of it. So I think contextualizing for them as well, and really trying to integrate the history so we don't lose the knowledge and sort of everything we've learned up to this point. Because I feel like before now, the folks that, people were interested, but it wasn't like mainstream. Now people like to listen to Fauci. They want to digest as much information as we can give them. And so I think it's changed the landscape of, how we talk about data to, people. And so I see that being more transparent 10 years from now.
And thank you, Luz. And I did have one question I wanted to sort of follow up on that to Salma, aka our pioneer and hero. What from this pandemic do you feel that you'll remember the most, or that you'll recall the most as you look back on it?
Probably just about how we were so scared at first about, and super uncertain about the future, and just that feeling of uncertainty and scared for ourselves, our family, and the people that kind of couldn't protect themselves, like the elderly. So I think I remember the initial fear at first, because it really stuck to me, and I don't think anybody would ever want to feel that way again about the beginning of a global pandemic.
So that I think that just, for me, kind of shows what kind of person you are, because when I ask you what was your memory of the pandemic, you let me know that you were already thinking about other people. You were thinking about those around you. And I think that's the key. If we had more people like you, if we all had that kind of mindset where we were thinking, how can I make sure that I and everyone around me is safe? I think we would be in a lot better place. And another question for you, just for those watching who have no idea what a clinical trial is, can you let us know sort of what went on, or how things went when you sort of entered it, and how it started, and what you have to do now to stay in it?
Yeah. So basically, the beginning of the clinical trial, they have to come in contact with you, and you have to get an okay from your parents. So when I decided that I wanted to do it, I called back Kaiser, and they gave me their information. And um, we, me and my twin brother, we eventually went to the doctors because he also participated in it too. So one thing that I felt safe was like that my brother was doing it, so like we were in it together. So that made me feel more comfortable. And when we went into the doctor's office, they gave us like this fat stack of contracts, which was super intimidating. But the nurse was there and she kind of explained everything and how everything was going to work. So at first, we would have to get COVID tested or blood drawn, all these types of tests for the data. And then after that, they told us that we would get like a blind dosage, and we wouldn't know if we got the placebo or the actual vaccine. So after we took all those tests, they gave us each the dose, and we had to wait 30 minutes after to see if we were had any reaction. And then after that, we were able to go home. And once we were home, we had like this app that we downloaded, and we could put all of our data in and how we were feeling that day. And sure enough, I started feeling symptoms that night, so I made sure to put it in the app, in the data app. And every week, every day that we went to the doctors, we also got paid. And so every time we put something in the app, we got paid $5. So I don't know, maybe like that's just something you wanted to know. Um, but one thing that I thought was cool was because I'm a twin, we kind of got to compare our symptoms and kind of ask the other person, oh, like, how are you feeling? Do you feel this? Like, are you scared? And yeah, so at that moment, like that night, I knew I was like, oh, like, I think I got it. So yeah. And then after that, I think like we had other checkups like a month after, because then you received the second dose. And after that, it was kind of like the same thing. And I had to stay inside. I couldn't really go to soccer practice or anything. I had to stay inside, wear my mask. So I feel like that kind of was also a hard part, like not being able to like see anyone and just stay inside a lot and make sure I put the data in and stuff.
Well, Salma, thank you so much for that. Um, a lot of people ask us, and we were on the first wave of people that got the vaccine. Do you feel safe? And the answer is, with the information that we have right now, with the way to move the world and protect each other, we need to make sure that we are actually fighting and vaccinating against fear with a dose of truth. Then,
Yeah.
Salma, you are a queen. Y suena mejor en español. Eres una reina. You will conquer whatever you want to conquer in the world because you're honest and you understand not only sacrifice, it's more than sacrifice. You understand that we need to move forward all together. And may God bless you. Whatever you do, I'm sure that at least you have Dr. Turner-Lloveras and Dr. Shapiro behind you for whatever you want to do. You know, engineering and math is not my side of the world, but everything else I can kind of help you with it. Then, familia, you know, it has been almost 20 minutes of conversations of honest truth about where we are with the vaccines. Why is it so important to make sure that we're participating in clinical trials? Because if we were not there, and if it's only one group, we're not being represented. Then, and the other thing is, we need to understand that we're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is there to make sure that we're protected, that we're taken care of, and most importantly, that we are moving forward. Then, thank you so much. And I'm going to ask Dr. Felix Marquez if she has any last words before we actually close this episode.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was thinking about as I was preparing for this conversation was really that, in life, it's never nothing in life is a safe bet, right? And so in life, we're always making choices, and we're always assessing our risks, whether it's learning to ride a bike. As a mom, my kids want to ride a bike. I obviously don't want them to get hurt, but that's part of them growing and learning and building skills. And so, I want to encourage everyone to really think about how we balance that on an everyday experience, and to really think it through as you're contemplating your fears about getting vaccinated. That, yeah, we're not saying it's 100%, but it does take a little leap of faith, and we don't have 100% of the answers. But with like Dr. Shapiro was saying, with the information that we have right now, we have 9 months of this vaccine having emergency use authorization, several weeks since it was FDA approved, and then we have all of these people who are my heroes, like Salma, who really pioneered and were part of the clinical studies. And so when I put all of that in context today, I can say that they're safe, that we have many millions of people vaccinated, and that should be really encouraging, because we're not admitting people that are vaccinated to the hospital, either because of side effects or because of severe infection with COVID, as it is right now. So I really encourage folks to think about the risks and really ultimately the benefits, and how that applies to you and the decisions that you make on a daily basis.
Exactly. Well, thank you once again, Dr. Shapiro, as always, for joining in, but our Dr. Felix Marquez, who is always going to be behind Salma. But in case you need someone in between, Dr. Shapiro and I are here as well. Feel free to reach out to us. And if you're listening or watching and you're thinking, should I consider, having my child join the clinical trial? I think always the question to ask is risk benefit. What are the risks? And there's always risks when joining the clinical trial. But in this case, what are the benefits? The benefits are ending a pandemic and bringing all of our lives back to the new normal. So once again, the hero of the day is Salma, and hopefully others will be encouraged to join clinical trials as well, so we can start moving our way back to our new future. Thanks for joining, and until next time.